Welcome back to the Fundamentals of Object workshop. This is part 3 of single stack objects, and in this lesson, we'll continue creating a single stack object, and we'll also learn how to link objects to the stack base object. So let's pick up where we left off last time. So we are in the single stack tile within Object Workshop, and we're looking at our patient assessment stack base. So now that we've defined the properties of the stack base object, we can add a linked object. We'll start by selecting the linked object button and search for the object that we'd like to link. In this case, we're going to select the NO Ursa patients object. Once our selection has been made, we'll be brought to the Stack Link Objects properties. We just reviewed the settings, restrictions and transformation, and published fields panels. These panels function the exact same way for linked objects as they do with the stack base objects. The only new panel to review is Upstack Restrictions, which you'll see open here. You can think of the fields in the Upstack Restrictions panel as being roughly equivalent to a join clause. It's where you specify how the objects are linked together. The Upstack object is the object that you'll link to and already exists in the stack. The linked object is the object you are adding to the stack and will be linked to the Upstack object. Now you may notice that 2 errors were found within the Upstack restrictions. The first error is regarding the foreign key, which we'll get to in just a moment. The other error is regarding a missing join type, so let's cover that first. The first field within Upstack restrictions is enforce linked object existence. And this is where you define the type of link to create between the objects. This is very similar to defining the type of join that you would use in a SQL script. The option of instances of linked object must exist is like an inner join where all the records that have matching key values in both tables are kept in the object being created. The option instances of linked object may exist is like a left outer join, where all records from the Upstack object and the matched records from the linked object are kept in the new object. The option no instance of linked object may exist is like an exclusionary left outer join, where only the rows in the Upstack object that do not match records in the linked object are kept by the new object. For our purposes, we will select instances of linked object must exist. Selecting the Preserve Upstack Grain checkbox signals to the system that you intend to maintain the current grain of the Upstack object when linking the 2 objects. If the Upstack restriction configuration is going to create a grain explosion, the system will know that it's unintentional and it'll present you with a warning. Since we want to ensure the Upstack grain is maintained, we will keep this option selected. Circling back to the foreign key error, a particularly helpful feature of Ursa Studio is that the system infers the foreign key relationship or the columns with matching values in both tables. That is, if the object you are linking has a field that matches a field in the Upstack object, then the system will automatically populate the restriction, and all you need to do is select this check to confirm that it's correct. So in regards to the error notification that was presented to us, the system believes that it has found the correct foreign key relationship between 2 tables, and it would like us to confirm. I'm going to remove the inferred restriction so that you can see how this works. By clicking the X to the right of the foreign key, I'll remove it. And now we can select the Add Restriction button and find the foreign key pattern. This pattern indicates which column or columns to use when matching the objects. It's equivalent to the On option in the Join clause. We can follow the prompts to identify which keys to match. When needed, you can add multiple foreign key patterns for restrictions that have multiple keys to match. For our case, we are going to match the patient ID from the linked patient object SL1 to the patient ID in our stack-based object, patient assessments. All right, I'm going to quickly update the properties in this panel, which you've seen before. And moving on, another option when creating an object is to add a subpopulation. This is analogous to a union in SQL development. While linking objects merges them horizontally, potentially adding fields to the upstack object, adding a subpopulation merges objects vertically, appending records to the stack. So let's search for our subpopulation, which is going to be SMTRN Patient Assessment 2. And this is just an example since we don't need to add a subpopulation for the object we're creating. When you add a subpopulation, you'll see the panels we're already familiar with: the settings, restrictions and transformations, and published fields. After adding a subpopulation, you'll want to review the panels associated with the stack. By clicking here, you can access the Stack Properties panels. The Settings and Restrictions and Transformations options will be familiar, but the Restrictions and Transformations panels specific to each subpopulation and Align Subpopulation to fields are new. The Subpopulation Restrictions and Transformations panels, as you've probably already guessed, apply specifically to the respective subpopulations. You've probably noticed a large number of errors that have appeared on the left side of the screen. These are present because we have not aligned the new subpopulations fields. This Align Subpopulation to Fields panel allows you to align or match the columns between the subpopulations. Here you can select the columns to align with the added subpopulation. I'm going to go ahead and match all 10 of these fields. And you'll notice as I match the correct field, the associated error is resolved. And when I'm finished, as a note, I'm not going to save this object with the subpopulation since this was just an example. So that's it for this lesson. We learned how to link objects to the stack base and add subpopulations, and we're going to pause there. So thank you for your attention, and I will see you in the next lesson.